Well, welcome to Ask the Edmonds Cop. I'm Teresa Whipple here with Sergeant Shane Hawley, and we are going to talk about right turns and left turns and it's
traffic.
Traffic, yeah.
And we're back to traffic.
You just told me you thought we'd
Yeah.
never do another traffic segment, but one of our readers actually came up with a question we had not yet addressed. We were kind of amazed by that.
Yeah, I think they're scouring the RCW now,
Probably
looking
are.
for specific things. So.
Yeah. So we have a graphic that we'll put up to kind of explain the
Yep.
situation, and I'm not going to, you're going to do a better job of explaining it than I will since you've been researching it. So why don't you go ahead and talk
Okay.
about the scenario?
Okay, so the graphic we have up, that's 220th Street Southwest and Highway 99.
Okay.
And up will be north. Okay, so we've got a couple arrows, and they're conveniently red and green, so you know who has which color light.
Okay.
And the question was, if you are northbound in the right-hand turn lane
Of Highway 99.
of Highway 99, okay, so right by the Boiling Point Restaurant, you have a dedicated right-hand turn lane there, and you have the red light. And the southbound lane, which also has a dedicated left turn lane, is the green arrow. So they have a green arrow, and that turn lane can turn eastbound onto 220th Street.
Right.
Now, their question was kind of a statement as well. And they said, in theory, if that left-hand turn lane makes their turn, they're supposed to, by law, turn into the furthest left-hand lane.
Right.
That should leave the right-hand lane completely available. So you should be able to have cars make the turn simultaneously.
Right.
There should be a lane available for both.
Because state law allows you to turn right on red,
a red.
after a stop.
Correct. So this is kind of their question. But however, we do see collisions that way because sometimes the people making a left end up turning into the right-hand lane.
Yeah.
You see that.
I would say it happens more often than not, my experience.
Yeah, we don't see a ton of them, but we do see them. We do see collisions like that. So the
Well, I
question
just meant
is,
the process, not
Yeah.
the practice. It seems like
Correct.
people a lot of times end up in the other lane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was their question. So who's right, who's wrong? What do we make of all of this?
Yeah.
If we have a collision with this, what happens?
Right.
So we have to look at two different RCWs for this. So here's your fact-checking moment. So the first one we have to look at is the car making the right-hand turn. And they're governed by RCW 46, 61, that's all rules of the road, so most of these are under there, and .055. And they changed this a while back. It's actually a very long RCW, and they broke out all the different colored lights and arrows and the whole 9 yards. So we want section 3A, which talks about a steady red light. And that's what happens there. You're at a steady red light. So it says, first of all, you have to stop. That's a no-brainer. You got to stop for the red, behind the line, behind the crosswalk. And then it says you may make a right-hand turn. That's your free right-hand turn that everybody calls it, okay? But it does say you have to remain stopped to allow other vehicles already in the intersection to finish their turns,
Got it.
okay? So if other cars are turning, you're supposed to remain stopped until they finish and clear the intersection, okay? But we have to kind of combine this with the other component, and that is that left-hand turn. And the person said, well, you know, they're supposed to turn into the left-hand lane, which they do. It says, whenever practical. And here's where we see this most of the time, especially at that intersection on the highway. There are driveways around. If we reverse it and say instead of north and let's say they're making a left turn onto westbound 220th,
Yes.
what sits right on the corner?
Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Yeah, that's a terrible place. People are
Right?
always going into that driveway and
Okay,
coming
so
out.
it is impossible to turn into that driveway
Yeah.
unless you immediately turn into that right-hand lane.
Yes.
You just can't do it. You
Correct.
can't signal to your turn or lane change 100 feet. It's impossible the way the driveway's set up. Or people getting into Winco
Yes.
because they immediately turn over and have to get into that turn lane. So that's why it's important to be careful. But it does say whenever practical. So
Okay.
in those situations, it's not practical for them to actually turn into the furthest left lane.
Right. So you would, if you were investigating a collision, and you would take all those factors into account. In
Yes,
terms
so
of what's practical and what isn't.
we would end up citing the person who made the free right turn
Got it.
under 4661.055.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like the common sense thing to do here, not that we find that people do the common sense thing.
I was going to say we're going to comment on common sense, but
no.
okay.
But in theory, in common sense, you would just wait until it was all done and there
Yep.
was no more traffic, and then if the light was still red, you could make your turn.
Yes.
Or you maybe just want to wait until it's green anyway. Right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
people behind you may be, a little upset. You
Unhappy.
see them
Yeah,
impatient.
happens all the time.
You know,
Yeah.
that is the extra 5, 10, 15 seconds,
Yeah.
To avoid a collision.
Right.
Let's just be patient, people.
Okay, very good. Yeah, good advice on a lot of fronts,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We'll be back soon with another episode of Ask the Edmonds Cop, and it probably won't be traffic.